So, there's this popular Ghanaian member of parliament that gives me so much joy. His name is Sam George or Samuel George, depending on how you want to call him. But you would think on the higher stages he's going to be timid or shy to speak up. That's not the case. The man went to a UN summit and delivered the most impeccable speech you would see in modern time. Very brave if you ask me, but let's check it out.
Two brief comments from the floor. The first is Mr. Samuel George. Mr. George is a member of parliament from the country of Ghana. Mr. George.
Thank you very much, and all protocol duly observed. As a natural-born man, a charismatic Christian.
He went straight to the point. I'm sure you can see where this is going now. Let's take it back.
Very much, and all protocol duly observed. As a natural-born man, a charismatic Christian, a husband of one woman, a father of 3 children, and an elected member of Ghana's parliament, I hold the role of the family extremely sacred. I believe that the right to found a family and determine same is a right that accrues to everyone within the context and spirit of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and several other recognized international treaties like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. 75 years after the UDHR, the spirit and letter are more poignant than at any other time in our history. At a time in our world where supposedly progressive forces are agitating for a redefinition of the...
Listen to the terminology he's using, guys. Supposedly progressive forces. And then he's going to emphasize that it's more like regressive. I love this speech.
Than at any other time in our history. At a time in our world where supposedly progressive forces are agitating for a redefinition of the core principles of what a family is and represent in a somewhat regressive manner, the genuinely progressive voices, like those in this room, must rise in defense of family, its values and protections.
Right.
The concept of the natural family is under attack, and a siege is being attempted on the spirit of the Declaration of Human Rights. Let me be clear here and now, sirs and ma'ams. There is a distinct difference between sex and gender or gender identity. The pseudo-war being waged by some against the family is premised on this obfuscation and literal obliteration of the distinction between sex and gender. Sex is a biological construct that transcends race, ethnicity, religion, and jurisdictional jurisprudence. Sex is binary. You're either male or female. God determines this at the moment of conception. A fetus carries either the XX or XY chromosome.
God determines it? I thought you can just go do a surgery or take some pills and it'll be different. I don't know. I'm just sharing thoughts, what I've been reading on the media. But he's saying God determines it, which means if you're from US or Africa or Russia, Europe, wherever, you're either male or female, according to him, right? It's not according to biology anymore, according to Sam George. Yeah? I told you, this speech is going to be very thought-provoking. Again, whatever you think about it, I just want you to watch it and have a perspective.
Meaning whether it is born female or male. From my beloved Ningo Prampram constituency in Accra, Ghana, to New York, and Rio de Janeiro to Madrid or Delhi to Perth, the interpretation of XY and XX is constant. Gender or gender identity, on the other hand, is a social construct that has evolved on the peculiarities of various societies. From the onset matching the binary nature of sex, we see different recognitions of gender today across the world. There is no universality in the concept of gender or gender identity, and it is highly fluid. And as such, gender or gender identity cannot form the basis for any rights accruing in a covenant, a convention, or international treaty which seeks to be globally acceptable and binding because we have different interpretations. This is the basis for my avowed position that the letter and spirit of the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights is apt and meets the needs of our global world.
Why is this man reading his speech when he's also saying the speech? Isn't that a little bit complicated for him? Just listen.
Today, it emphasizes in Article 2 of the rights, the rights and freedoms in the Declaration, and it's clear that there shall be no distinctions made based on sex. Yes, it says sex, not gender or gender identity. This is a definite position and must be defended by all progressive forces. The UDHR in Article 16.1 makes yet another actual position that I cherish and implore all of us to hold fast and dear, that the right to marry and found a family shall be between men and women of full age, without prejudice to their race, nationality, or religion. Yes, it says men and women, not men and men or women and women. Yet again, this is another reinforcement of the principle of sex and not gender. As a proud African, Article 2 of our African Charter on Human and People's Rights also echoes the principles of enjoyment of rights without prejudice to sex and not gender. As Africans, the role of the family is cardinal to our society and its well-being. To reinforce this, Article 18 of the African Charter recognizes the family as society's natural unit and basis. It imposes a responsibility on member states in the African Union to protect the physical health and morals of the family. Yes, it said morals of the family. It declares the family as the custodian of morals and traditional values recognized by the community. The Charter says there is no ambiguity here, that the values of family as a union between a natural-born man and woman must be protected by all of us. Against this backdrop,
You see, people were criticizing the Premier of Alberta. For those of you who live in Canada, she came up with a new gender policy saying kids are not allowed, very young people from the ages of, I think, 16 down are not allowed to get involved with gender surgeries and take all these hormone pills. She said if you get to I think from 17, 18, then you can start seeing the doctor and you can do that, but with consent from your parents. And everybody was frying her. And I thought, what did she really do? Because I was seeing on the media that this woman is transphobic. She hates trans people. She hates, she's homophobic, everything. And I'm like, let me go see what she might have said. And then I did a quick run through. I didn't really scrutinize it, but just a quick run through of the policies. I didn't really see anything wrong. I didn't see anything wrong with the policy. As a matter of fact, she was very modest. If you take that, if you give it to Sam Judge will tweak it and make it even more tough. I promise you. But my point is, people are working to defend family values, and there's a whole group of people that are working against it. And the question is why? For anybody, I would think one of the most important things, or the most important thing, is your family. So why are you working against it? Don't know. But I think this is a good speech. You might not agree, but at least it's thought-provoking. Let it sink in your head. Let it disturb you a little bit so you can go think or rethink new perspectives. So yeah, I like the fact that he said this on this stage.
together with 7 of my colleagues in Ghana's parliament, I'm sponsoring a private member's bill titled The Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Families Values Bill 2021 in Ghana's parliament. In conclusion, I reference the critical role that a family plays in the development of society through the development, education, and upbringing of children. Article 18.3 and 4 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights declares respect for the liberties of parents and legal guardians to ensure their children's religious and moral education in conformity with the convictions of the parents and legal guardians. This right is not given to an educational board or a pressure group or a government. It is the sole right and preserve of parents in the family unit. Ladies and gentlemen herein gathered at the UN headquarters in New York, the family must remain respected and recognized as the union between natural-born men and women of full age, who have the right and responsibility to determine by their beliefs and in conformity with the generality of their community.
So he said a lot in just 5 minutes. He wasn't just speaking about the variety of genders. He spoke about gender being binary. Now, I'm just summarizing what he said. I'm not giving you any extra information. I'm just summarizing. He spoke about gender being binary, determined by God, XY, XX. And then he said marriage is between a man and a woman and of full age. Not just between a man and a woman, but of full age. There are countries that the parliaments are trying to make it okay or normalize it that 13-year-old girls can be married to men. You can give a 13-year-old girl to a man to marry. I don't know if you've had a conversation with a 13-year-old girl or a 13-year-old person, boy or girl, like they're not smart enough to be thrown into that life. But that is what countries, people that you elect into parliament, are sitting down to discuss. It's a fun world if we don't speak up. It's gonna be a fun world, guys. I mean, by fun, I don't mean in a good way. So you need to speak up and speak up against all these things. Anyways, Sam George presented a very good speech. Again, you don't have to agree everything he said. I'm not gonna tell you if I agree. I'm sure you might know my stance already. But my point is, at least somebody needs to speak up. Somebody needs to share thought-provoking words and messages. So everything people say on the other side, like he said, the so-called progressive, everything that comes from that side is questioned. So there's a balance of equilibrium. Because what is happening is the progressive, or the so-called progressive, according to him, they drag it so much to one side. And if there's nobody pulling it back, there won't be a balance. It's just going to be there. And what usually happens is when somebody comes to pull it back, it's going to be all the way to the side now, because they're going to be mad. We need a balance. So guys, speak up like Sam George has done. Anyways, I thought that was a good video and a good message. Share your thoughts, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.